The Raiders are adding a future Hall of Fame cornerback to the roster. All right, I'm just joking with you because I don't even know why I started the video off like that, but yo, what is up, Raider Nation? It's your boy Samoa Raider back at it again with yet another video. If this is the very first time you guys are coming across this channel and you love daily Raiders content, then hit that subscribe button, hit that notification icon button to notify you guys when I upload more videos just like this. With that being said, breaking news though, not too long ago, according to Ian Rappaport, he broke the news saying that the Raiders are adding more on defense as they are set to sign former Packers first round cornerback Eric Stokes on a 1-year, $4 million deal, sources said. And of course, this seems like the Raiders model throughout the whole free agency so far. There's only day 2, but all we've been seeing from the Raiders is the fact that they've been going out there and signing value to the team. I mean, a 1-year, $4 million deal for a former first round pick, somebody that has a little bit of upside, I think is a good deal for the Raiders. And you could definitely tell that the Raiders are not looking to overspend in free agency. Because I know that there's a lot of Raider fans out there complaining about free agency so far, like the Raiders aren't doing anything. They let all these people walk. They're not signing all these big names. They're not spending any money. We had the second most cap space, and we're not doing anything but signing all these downgrades in free agency. First of all, chill, relax. Second of all, teams that usually spend out the gate, spending all their cap space, usually don't do nothing during the season. It's good to be patient and wait, let values kind of drop, and sign the players that you feel like can bring the most to the team, especially players that you can see play better than what they're getting paid. And I think that's definitely what Pete Carroll and this team is doing right now. And Tashawn Reed broke it down perfectly on Twitter. Part of the Raiders' slow start to free agency is the trade for Geno Smith isn't official until tomorrow. They have to wait until then to sign him to an extension. The artificial deadline to get a deal done is Sunday, which is when the $16 million roster bonus is due. So with that said though, Raider Nation, be patient, man. We can't just go out and just spend the money all over the place and expect us to go out there and be good. Heck, if we paid every single one of the guys that left, the top 4 guys that left, you know, Robert Spillane, Trayvon Merrick, Nate Hobbs, and Divine Diablo, the Raiders would be over the cap right now. It's not Pete Carroll or this team's fault that, you know, all these guys went to different teams, because all those teams were willing to open up the checkbooks and pay them real good. But I'll say though, so far in free agency, I do like the moves that the Raiders have been making, and Eric Stokes is another solid signing for the Raiders. With that said though, Eric Stokes was a former first-round pick out of Georgia, had a really solid rookie year, and showed a lot of promise moving forward with his elite speed, running a 4.29 at the combine. And on top of that, he showcased some solid coverage skills. Since then, he's slowly been declining, been dealing with a lot of injuries and inconsistencies. But with Stokes signing with the Raiders, he most likely will be a rotational player that could compete with Corey Bennett for a starting job, depending on what else Las Vegas does in free agency or even in the draft at the position. And I do believe that he has all the tools to become a solid cornerback in this league. At worst, he'll be a special teams player, and I'd be fine with that as well, especially for the price that we paid him. And for most players in his situation, usually a change of scenery helps out, and hopefully him coming to Las Vegas, especially coming and playing under Pete Carroll, who is known for developing and getting the best out of his cornerbacks, especially in the secondary, the sky's the limit for Eric Stokes. And this signing is a low risk, high reward type of signing, so anything can happen. I'm never gonna rule out a signing and say it's just god awful out the gate, because we never know what they're gonna do when the season does come or when training camp comes around. And knowing Pete Carroll and how he runs his team, it always comes down to competition. It's never about the name on the back of the jersey, but the name in front of the jersey and the team that you represent. And he stated it before, he doesn't care about the status, he doesn't care about titles and names, because at the end of the day, he's going to put the best player on the field. And if Stokes can step in and be the best version of himself in Las Vegas, then we could most likely see him start this year. But other than that, like I said, the theme this year in Las Vegas is compete. So with adding a guy like Stokes, it does provide competition in the secondary. Now, looking at the cornerback room right now, the Raiders currently have Jacorian Bennett, DeCamerion Richardson, Caillou Blue Kelly, Sam Webb, Lonnie Johnson, and now Eric Stokes. Of course, the Raiders are definitely going to still need to go out and address the position, whether in the draft or free agency. I said the same thing about the linebacker position, and there's a lot of options out there, and I'm pretty sure that the Raiders are not done in free agency with addressing the secondary, especially in the cornerback room. There's a lot of names out there. Asante Samuels has been a name that's been floating around. Kendall Fuller's another name if they didn't get signed already. But overall, a solid signing for the Raiders. But what are your thoughts, Raider Nation? What do you think about Eric Stokes joining the Raiders? You think it's a good move by the Raiders, or do you feel like the Raiders could have signed somebody else? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Now, in some other news, the Raiders have released the comp picks for every team for every round, and it looks like the Raiders got 2 comp picks in this year's draft. According to some reports, the Raiders have been awarded with 2 comp picks in 2025. Both are in the 6th round, 213 and 215. The Raiders now have 9 picks in the 2025 NFL draft, which I think is a good thing for this team. The Raiders now have 3 6th-round picks, and there's a lot of options that the Raiders can go in, whether they want to address the secondary, whether they want to get their quarterback, a wide receiver, maybe even a running back at the position. There's going to be a lot of picks, a lot of moves that I feel like the Raiders can make in this year's draft, maybe even package a lot of those picks to move up or even move back, depending on where you want to pick at. And it's definitely going to make it interesting looking at the mock drafts. I'm most likely going to be doing a mock draft this weekend, so definitely be on the lookout for that. And I'm gonna be excited to see what kind of moves I can make. I've been messing around with a lot of different mock drafts, and I know that number 6 overall pick is going to be a really important and crucial move for the Raiders. They definitely got to hit in at least their first 2 rounds, maybe even 3 rounds, to get a solid starter day 1 for this upcoming season if they want to turn things around. I know I've been asked this so many times of who I'd rather get with the 6th overall pick, and with us trading for Geno Smith, it gives us a lot of flexibility, which I love. But if it was up to me, there's only 3 main players that I would love to get at the number 6 position. Number 1 is Will Johnson, number 2 is Shedeur Sanders, and number 3 is T-Mac. But I know a lot of people would love to get Ashton Jeanty, but let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. With that being said, though, I want to talk about Maxx Crosby. He had his podcast released today. Shout out to The Rush. He talked about the whole Geno Smith signing and his reaction to the whole thing, and even him talking to Geno Smith and how he feels about the team moving forward.
Geno has the big ass smile on his face, and I'm like, "What's up, bro? You good?" Well, like, what's the word? Blah blah blah. He's like, "It's done. It's done. It's done." And bro, I was so hyped. Like, I'm literally yelling at the phone. And I'm like, "Come on." And Ella's like, yelling at me. And Ella gets to see Geno right out the gate before anybody. So shout out to Ella. She gets the first class service. But he was dope, and he was super fired up, and we had a great conversation. I would obviously keep that between us, but like, bro, I was extremely excited. I know he's extremely excited, and today I got to see him in the building. He was in there in the morning, and we got to chop it up. And he was on the move doing the physicals, had to do some stuff and whatever. But we got to chop it up, and bro, he's super fired up. So it's a big deal, bro. It's a big deal. I think it helps us immensely in a lot of ways. You know, the draft upcoming, it gives us more, flexibility. So there's a lot of good things that come with that as well. And he's a winner, bro. Like, he's done really well in Seattle. I mean, even this past year, they won 10 games. He was playing some of his best ball at the end of the year. So it's super exciting, bro. A guy with a winning pedigree, a guy was wrote off at one point, but he didn't write back.
He didn't write back.
He's got that dog in him.
I don't know about you guys, but it always seems like Maxx Crosby is excited about every single move. But then again, that's a good thing. Your leader is always going to be excited, always going to be optimistic with whatever moves that we have. And honestly, that's the same way I feel. As a fan, as a content creator, I feel the same exact way, and you guys see it in all my videos. I'm always like, I don't mind getting this guy, but this. I don't mind getting that guy. I'm kind of high on this guy. Maybe this guy could come in and do good, and that's how I feel about this season. I know I felt the same way about, Gardner Minshew last year and years prior with other moves that we made, but this year feels a little bit different, especially bringing in a guy like Geno Smith, who, like he said, has won before and has a chip on his shoulder. Plus, he said what I just said. Having a guy like Geno Smith on the team right now gives the Raiders a lot of flexibility to do what they want at number 6. So with that said, everything does come official tomorrow on Wednesday, and I know a lot of people were tripping about free agency so far, but I feel like the Raiders are going to make a lot of their moves after tomorrow. Look for Wednesday and Thursday to be those 2 days, maybe even Friday, where the Raiders start making a lot more moves when they see where all the money goes, because I know they spent a little bit here and there and they've been kind of frugal with their money, but I feel like they made a lot of solid decisions so far in free agency, and they basically replaced a lot of the players that we kind of let go. You look at Robert Spillane, He left. We brought in Landon Roberts on a cheaper deal. You see Trayvon Merrick left, and then we brought in Jeremy Chin on a cheap deal. You see Nate Hobbs leave, then the Raiders go and get Lonnie Johnson. They go out and sign Eric Stokes. On top of that, the Raiders brought back some key pieces to the team: Malcolm Koonce, Adam Butler, Isaiah Pola-Mao, and even to add to the point of Geno Smith, the Raiders are in a good position right now because trading for Geno Smith right before free agency, the Raiders are not one of those teams that is just running around trying to figure out who the quarterback is going to be. We addressed that already, and we're not even worried about that. You see all these other teams trying to find who their quarterback is going to be moving forward, and we're just sitting back, pat, relax, and just letting free agency come to us. So if there's any positives to take out of free agency so far, I just feel like the Raiders have been really good and really smart with a lot of their moves. And I know a lot of Raider fans are not used to the Raiders being smart in free agency and not just going out there and overspending on whatever player that we all expect to get. I'm gonna sound cliche, and I know a lot of you guys don't like to hear it, but we just gotta trust the process. But with that said, Raider Nation, what are your thoughts on day 2 of free agency? For sure, a much quieter day than day 1, but then again, anything can still happen right now, so I'm not gonna put anything out of the realm of possibility. But with all the moves that we made so far, and even bringing in Eric Stokes, what grade would you give this move? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Until the next one, this is your boy Some More Raider, and your boy is, yeah.